I knew something was off the night she laughed in her sleep. My name's Jake. I'm 31. Been with my wife, Maddie, for 6 years. Married for 3. No kids, yet. We'd talked about it, tossed around the idea like it was some distant thing we'd do when we had our finances together or when we felt ready. But that never came. Maddie's 29. She's smart, funny, intense in a way that draws people in. She used to be the kind of person who laughed at my dumb jokes, even when they were bad. Especially when they were bad. That's how I fell in love with her. That and the way she used to grip my hand like she was holding on to something important. But lately, she'd been different. Not in a dramatic way. No screaming, no fights. Just colder, subtle things. Less eye contact. Phone never left her side. And there was one moment, just one, that lit the first real spark of suspicion in me. It was a Thursday night. She'd fallen asleep before me. I was up late, scrolling mindlessly like usual. The room was dark except for the glow from my phone. And then she laughed. Not a sleepy chuckle, not a dream giggle, a full-on laugh, like someone had just whispered something hilarious in her ear. I looked over, thinking maybe she was talking in her sleep. But her mouth didn't move again. She just turned over, still smiling, and pulled the blanket tighter around her. I don't know why, but that smile unsettled me. It wasn't meant for me. It sat in my chest all night. The next morning, I watched her get ready. She kissed me on the cheek like always. Said she'd be working late, again. That had become a pattern too. Meetings. Last-minute campaigns. She worked in digital marketing. The job came with unpredictable hours, sure, but lately she'd been clocking more late nights than early ones. That day, I checked our shared calendar. Nothing unusual on it, but then I remembered something small. A few weeks back, she'd asked me how to turn off location sharing on Google Maps. She'd framed it as a joke. Not trying to hide anything, she'd said with a laugh. Just sick of Google tracking me like some stalker. Back then, I didn't think anything of it. Now, it stuck in my head. That night, she came home at 9:47 p.m. Hair a little too perfect. Lipstick still fresh. And when I asked how work went, she shrugged like it was no big deal. Same old. I didn't push it, but something inside me clicked into place. I started paying attention. When you start looking, you see everything. The day after Maddie came home at nearly 10 p.m. with her lipstick still perfect, I started noticing things I hadn't before. And I don't mean dramatic, movie-style clues. No perfume on a collar or lipstick-stained shirts. Just little things, almost too small to mention. She started locking her phone. Not just locking it, but flipping it face down anytime it was near me. When I asked her who she was texting, she'd say, work, or Alyssa, her best friend. But her fingers moved too fast for casual work talk. It looked like flirting. I'd seen that rhythm before. I used to be on the other end of it. Then there were the showers. We used to shower together sometimes, or at least leave the door cracked open. But lately, she'd close it tight. Lock it, like she needed every layer of privacy she could get. I told myself not to spiral. That I was just being paranoid. That maybe she was just working late and needed some space. But one night, about a week after the lipstick night, she left her laptop open in the living room. Said she was heading to bed early. I don't know what came over me. Maybe it was the gnawing feeling in my gut, or maybe it was just the quiet house amplifying every ounce of doubt in my brain. I walked over to her laptop. It wasn't even password protected. There was a tab still open, Facebook Messenger. But it wasn't anyone I recognized. Just the name, Ty. I knew a few Tylers from her old job, but we'd never talked about a Ty. What stood out wasn't the name, it was the tone. Ty. You always leave me hanging when you're with him. Maddie. I know. I'm sorry. Tonight was risky. He's been paying more attention lately. Ty. Guess he's finally noticing what he's about to lose. Maddie. Let's not talk about him right now. Ty. Then come over. The chat stopped there. No response from her. But that line, tonight was risky, burned into my head. I closed the laptop slowly and just sat there. My hands weren't shaking. I wasn't angry, not yet. I just felt numb, like someone had pressed a pause button on the life I thought I was living. The next morning, I didn't say anything. She acted normal, made her coffee, kissed my cheek, asked me if I'd take the trash out. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I didn't know who I was looking at anymore. But here's the thing. I didn't want to be that guy. The one who explodes based on a few messages without context. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was old. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't what it looked like. But deep down, I knew exactly what it was. Still, I needed more. Not to punish her, at least not yet. I just wanted to understand what the hell happened to us. To her. To me. So that night, I sat on the edge of our bed while she was in the bathroom, and I made a decision. I was going to find out the truth. Even if it broke me. If you have to track them, you already know. I didn't sleep that night. I laid there next to her, watching the ceiling fan spin shadows across our bedroom, listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing. And all I could think was, who are you dreaming about? That's when I realized, I wasn't looking for answers. I already had them. What I was really doing was stalling, hoping I'd find something that proved me wrong. But I didn't, and I wouldn't. Still, I needed to see it with my own eyes. The next day, I did something I never thought I'd do. I installed a location sharing app on her phone. It wasn't high-tech or some spy movie tracker, just one of those basic, Find My Family apps. The kind couples use to make sure each other gets home safe. The kind we used to have installed before she asked to turn it off. That request made a lot more sense now. She left her phone on the nightstand while showering, just like she always did. I downloaded the app, set it to silent updates, and made sure it wouldn't notify her. I hated how easy it was. Felt like I was crossing some line I swore I never would. But when someone you trust starts lying to your face, your sense of right and wrong gets muddy. I wasn't proud of it. I just needed to know what I was dealing with. For the first couple of days, nothing changed. She went to work, came home late, same stories, same tone. She didn't act nervous. If anything, she seemed lighter. Like some weight had been lifted off her. I wondered if that weight was me. Then, Friday came. She said she was going to a girls' night at Alyssa's. We're doing wine and skincare masks, she said, laughing as she packed her overnight bag. She wore this simple white sweater I hadn't seen before, and when I asked if it was new, she hesitated just a second too long. Gift from Alyssa, she said. Sure. I kissed her goodbye like nothing was wrong. 10 minutes later, I opened the app. She wasn't at Alyssa's. She was headed across town, about 25 minutes away. A neighborhood I didn't recognize. Not shady, but not upscale either. Just average, ordinary, forgettable. She stayed there all night. Didn't come back the next morning until nearly noon. I asked her how the wine night was. She smiled and said, Alyssa has terrible taste in Pinot, but the masks were great. And I nodded like I believed her. That afternoon, I drove to the address. I don't know what I thought I'd find. Maybe I hoped I'd gotten it wrong, that it was some Airbnb or her cousin's place or literally anything else. But no, there was a car in the driveway I didn't recognize. A dusty black Jeep with out-of-state plates. The blinds were closed, the lawn overgrown. It looked like a place someone lived in, but didn't take care of. And there it was again. That feeling in my chest. Like my body already knew before my mind could catch up. This was his place. The name felt like poison now. I didn't knock. I didn't take pictures. I just sat there in my truck for almost an hour, watching the front door like it might open and give me something I could use to finally do something. But nothing happened, and I drove home with nothing but more silence. I wish I could say I confronted her that night. That I shouted, or cried, or gave one of those speeches people give in movies where they catch someone cheating and finally explode. But I didn't. I just stared at her across the dinner table as she talked about a show she started watching without me. And I realized something I never thought I would. She was already gone. She slipped, and I saw the truth in her eyes. After that Friday night, after watching her walk back into our house with wine on her breath and lies on her lips, I couldn't look at Maddie the same way. But I still didn't say anything. Not because I was scared. Because I wasn't ready for the answer to be real. Once I said it out loud, once I crossed that line, we couldn't come back from it. And some sick part of me still wanted to come back. So instead, I started asking quiet questions. Nothing obvious, just little nudges. That Monday morning, as she was getting ready for work, I asked, "How's Alyssa doing? You guys have fun the other night?" She froze for half a second. "Yeah," she said, not looking up from her makeup mirror. It was chill. Just wine and girl talk. She ever mention that guy she was dating? What's his name again? Maddie blinked once, then twice. Oh, Ryan? She'd said before, but now it was Ryan. I didn't say anything, just nodded. Right, Ryan. But inside, I felt something twist. She couldn't even keep her own lies straight. Later that week, she said she was going to visit her sister in Greenville. Said she needed a weekend to decompress. I told her that sounded like a great idea. I even helped her pack. She kissed me on the cheek and told me she loved me. I said it back. Then I watched her taillights disappear down our street. About 2 hours later, I checked the app. She wasn't heading toward Greenville. She was back at the same address. Same black Jeep in the driveway. Same neighborhood that didn't belong to either of us. I drove there again, parked down the street this time. Just sat there, engine off, window cracked, watching. I thought maybe I'd see her come out for air. Maybe I'd see him and finally get a face to put with the name that was slowly gutting my marriage. But I didn't see anyone. What I did see, after a while, was her phone location shift inside the house. Like she was moving from room to room. At one point, I saw it stop in one place and stay there for a long time. Bedroom? Kitchen? I don't know. All I knew was, she wasn't alone. And I wasn't wrong. When she came back Sunday night, she smelled like a hotel room. That weird mix of clean sheets, unfamiliar soap, and stale sex. I didn't even look up from the couch. She walked in, dropped her bag, and acted like everything was fine. Then she sat down next to me. And for the first time in weeks, she touched my leg. Soft, casual, familiar. I felt nothing, and maybe she saw that. Because her hand stayed there, just for a second, then slowly slipped away. She didn't say anything, neither did I, but that was the moment I knew something had changed. Not just her, not just me, us. We weren't in a marriage anymore. We were actors, fumbling our way through a scene that used to mean something. The next morning, she made pancakes. She hadn't done that in months. She was talking about some home reno show on Netflix when I finally said it. Quiet, measured, no drama. Hey, Maddie, who's Tien? Her fork paused halfway to her mouth. She looked up, and for the first time since this whole thing started, she didn't lie. Her lips parted like she was about to say something. But no words came, just a look that said everything. She didn't cry, and that hurt the most. The silence after I said his name, Ty, lasted maybe 3 seconds. But it felt like someone pressed pause on our entire lives. She didn't scream, didn't deny it, didn't even ask how I knew. She just sighed. Then she pushed her plate away and said, "Can we talk after work?" I nodded. She left, and I sat there, alone at the table, staring at 2 pancakes slowly going cold. That night, she came home early. Didn't change out of her work clothes. Didn't pretend. Just walked in, sat down across from me on the couch, and looked tired. Not physically tired, emotionally tired. Like someone who'd been rehearsing this moment over and over again in her head. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she started. "The worst part?" I almost laughed. "Because isn't that what they all say?" "It started slow," she continued. "Just messages. Late nights venting. I didn't think it was anything at first. I just liked that someone listened without judging." "You mean without knowing you were married?" I said quietly. She flinched a little, but didn't deny it. I told him, eventually. He didn't care. Of course he didn't. I asked her the question I'd been sitting on for weeks. Why him? She didn't answer right away. Just stared down at her hands. "I don't know. He made me feel like someone new. Like I hadn't already been figured out." "You mean unlike me?" She shook her head. "It's not about you. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I got tired of being predictable. Of being the wife who meal preps, does laundry, asks about your day." I didn't know what to say. Because part of me understood it. Marriage can make people disappear into routines. And I'd be lying if I said I hadn't felt it too. But I never cheated. "So what happens now?" I asked. She looked at me like I was the one with the answer. "I don't know," she said. "Do you want me to leave?" I didn't answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know either. I had spent weeks building toward this moment, thinking I'd either rage or break down. But instead, all I felt was this cold clarity. Like my body had already processed the heartbreak ahead of time, and now it was just going through the motions. "You still seeing him?" I asked. She hesitated. then nodded. Yeah, I think that was the worst part. Not that she admitted it, but how calm she was. Like this wasn't a confession anymore. Like it was already history. I asked her if she loved him. She shrugged. I don't even know what that means anymore. She didn't cry, and that hurt the most. That night, we slept in separate rooms. She offered to take the couch. I told her no, I would. The mattress in the guest room was stiff, and the blankets still smelled like detergent. But at least I could breathe. Lying there, I stared at the ceiling, thinking about how two people can live in the same house, eat the same meals, share a bed, and still end up as strangers. Somewhere along the way, we stopped choosing each other. Maybe she cheated first, but I think I left a long time ago, too. I just didn't realize it. It's not the betrayal that kills you. It's the doubt. The next few weeks were strange. We didn't officially separate. We didn't make any announcements. We just sort of adjusted. She slept in the bedroom. I took the guest room. We still made coffee in the same kitchen, brushed past each other in the hallway, nodded politely when asking who needed the car. If someone had walked in, they might have thought we were roommates going through a rough patch, not a married couple living in the shadow of an affair. What surprised me most was how easy it was to slide into that limbo. No yelling, no late-night arguments, just silence with a pulse. She stopped mentioning him. I stopped asking. But the doubt? That stayed. Some nights, I'd hear her laugh from the other room. Not loud, just enough to know she was texting someone. Every time, my stomach would tighten. I never walked in. I never checked the app again. I told myself I didn't want to be that guy anymore. But the truth is, I just didn't want more proof. There's a point where evidence stops helping. It just reopens wounds that haven't even had time to scab over. One Thursday night, I got a text from someone I hadn't heard from in years, my friend Mark. We used to work together before he moved out of state. He was in town for a conference and asked if I wanted to grab a beer. I hesitated, not because of Maddie, because I didn't know what I'd say if he asked how I was doing. But I went. We met at a small bar downtown. Nothing fancy, just two guys catching up over cheap beer and a basket of fries we didn't touch. Eventually, Mark asked how married life was. I looked down at the table, exhaled, and said, "Not great." He didn't push, just waited, so I told him everything. Not the tracked phone part. Not the hiding in my truck outside another man's house part. But the broad strokes, the affair, the confusion, the emptiness. When I finished, he was quiet for a second. Then he said something I didn't expect. "Man, you sound like someone who's been mourning her for a long time." That line hit harder than anything Maddie had said. Because he was right. I hadn't really had her for a while, not in the way that matters. She'd been slipping away slowly, and I'd been grieving that loss without even knowing it. When I got home that night, the house was dark. Maddie had left a lamp on in the living room and a note on the kitchen counter. It was simple. "You seemed lighter tonight. I'm glad. I've been thinking a lot. Maybe we should talk soon." Really talk. No love, Maddie. No heart. No smiley face. But still, something. I stood there staring at that note for a long time. Because part of me still wanted to talk. And the other part, maybe the smarter part, was already halfway out the door. We didn't save the marriage. But we saved ourselves. We sat down on a Sunday afternoon. No distractions. No phones. Just me and Maddie at the kitchen table, with mugs of coffee neither of us touched. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't even dramatic. It was quiet. Like two people finally acknowledging the things sitting between them had grown too big to ignore. She started. "I don't think I know who I am anymore," she said. "And I don't think I ever gave myself the time to figure that out before we got married." I nodded. "I think I stopped seeing you as a person. You just became part of the routine. And I guess I did too." She looked up at me. "I didn't cheat to hurt you, Jake." "I know," I said. "But you did hurt me." She wiped her face with the sleeve of her sweatshirt. No makeup, hair pulled back. It reminded me of the first time I saw her cry, when her dad passed away. She looked the same now. Small, exposed. "I didn't know how to ask for what I needed," she said. "So I went looking somewhere else. And there it was. The thing we'd both been avoiding. We hadn't just failed each other. We'd stopped choosing each other." I didn't yell. Didn't ask for more details. Didn't want them. I think I'd imagined this moment so many times, with anger, with screaming, with some big cathartic blow-up that would finally make it all feel done. But now that I was in it, all I felt was peace. Not relief, just clarity. She said she'd move out by the end of the month. She wanted to stay with a friend while she figured things out. Said she didn't know where her relationship with Ty stood, and honestly, she didn't seem excited about it. That surprised me. Maybe she thought this affair would be her escape hatch. And now that the escape had come, it felt colder than expected. I didn't offer comfort, but I didn't spit venom, either. We just agreed, without even saying it, that it was time. The day she left, I helped her carry boxes to her car. She had tears in her eyes, but she kept it together. Before she got in, she turned to me. "I know I don't deserve to ask this," she said, "but I hope, maybe someday, you'll remember the good parts." I smiled, gently. "I never forgot them." She nodded, and then she left. It's been 8 months now. I moved out of that house. New place. Smaller. Quieter. But it feels like mine. I started going to the gym again. Not out of revenge. Just because I needed something to anchor me. Mark and I talk more now. Funny how one honest conversation can rebuild an entire friendship. As for Maddie, I haven't seen her. But sometimes, I'll get a text from her. Short ones. "Hope you're doing well. Saw something that reminded me of you. Thanks for being kind when I didn't deserve it." I don't always respond. But I don't block her either. Because as much as she broke my heart, I still wish her peace. Here's the truth. Not every ending has to be ugly to matter. Not every betrayal has to end with revenge. Sometimes, walking away without a final word is the loudest thing you can do. We didn't save the marriage. But we saved ourselves. And that, I think, is enough.